All right. Hello, hello. Ready for some astrology studies. And the first half, I want to, again, we're going to look at the sun, where the sun is in your chart, um, getting the meaning of what your purpose is, and then where the nodes are, and looking at all of that and trying to come up with, is that all getting along? Is it throwing you a curveball? What to look for? Different times in your life when you seem like you're on your game and on your purpose, and other times when you're not, when you're wherever else. But anyway, I found this cool little dial. I thought, oh, this is really cool. So I'm gonna have to make one of these things. This just looks like a piece of, um, just a piece, just something that you can paint with blackboard paint. You can just go get blackboard paint, and then you can use a pen, like a Sharpie, white, like a whiteout kind of pen. And then just, chalkboard it. But I thought that looked so cool. And I really liked the way they drew in the little aspects, made the geometric shapes out of those. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They got all 10 planets there. Looks cool. And you got Chiron on the bottom, and you got the nodes. They left that alone. And it's kind of interesting, it's like that it wasn't across the whole wheel. It was more on one side. So if you got your bull chart, it's going to look a lot better. Maybe it's complicated, but anyway, I just thought that looked so cool. To be neat little thing to have or to make. Okay, little fun thing there. So let's stop that and let's go to the document for today. Here we go. Okay, it should say astrological house keywords, and we're just going to run through this briefly so we can get a little understanding of where the sun is in your chart. Just think about your natal chart or somebody else's, other people's, when I read through these, and what house that is. Okay, think about the sun being here, and then also think about the nodes as well, if it's emphasis either one on any of these. And we'll kind of run through how to look at that. But I want to just jostle your mind a little bit about the, just some keywords about all the houses. So just be thinking about that while I read this. So first house, self-awareness, initiative, personal interests, efforts to move forward, new projects, personality, character, energy level of the person, vitality, immunity, temperament, the man or woman himself or herself, his or her health, due to the physical body. It's not the house of health, but just the kind of the vitality, the sense of the physical body, the appearance, the constitution, all that relates to the person as a whole. So if the sun is there, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on that person, on what they bring, on their character, on their stuff. Yeah. Second house, intellectual and spiritual values, personal dignity, emotional attachments, attitudes toward values. I like that one. Talents, material values, possessions, resources, movable property, as opposed to the fourth house would be, land, immovable property, money, income, anything, everything owned by the person, earning ability. Okay. So the sun there is going to be a lot of emphasis on that kind of stuff. Third house, all means of exchange of information, study, collecting facts, spreading information, communication, elementary education, as opposed to higher education, specific knowledge, or which would have been the ninth house. We'll get there. Specific knowledge, gaining skills, contactability, like being able to be reached, close environment, like your home, your neighborhood, brothers and sisters, neighbors, mates, short trips, relatives, except for parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, that sort of thing, children and spouses, but not except for parents, children, and spouses. Any kind of transport, short trip kind of transport. All right. So third house, a lot of emphasis on that. That person would be a lot about all of that. Fourth house, the authority in the family, security, vulnerability, home, family, parents, home chores, immovable property, where the other, where your second house was movable. Ancestors, fireside, motherland, place of residence, and conception. Fifth house, creative self-expression, self-manifestation, enthusiasm, initiative, love, pleasure, amusements, artistry, entrepreneurship, gambling, risk-taking, games, speculation, sport, hobby, lottery, competition, recreation, holidays, celebrations, creative results like books, paintings, etc., or other types of creative interests. Could be creating businesses, but that would have your second house, maybe ties. But anyway, creating doesn't have to be painting, as I'm saying. Pregnancy, children, romantic relationships without any obligations. So that's like, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Sixth house, effectiveness of functioning. Ooh, how Virgo is that? Subordination, methodology, dependence, respect toward the superiors, day-to-day duties, adjustment for proper operation, comfort, sense of duty. The comfort is like comfort in, it's not like the second house comfort, but see, it's an earth house. So you want some kind of a comfortableness in order. I should put it that way, comfort in order or of order. Sense of duty, service, a laborious work done for a superior, work in general, as opposed to your career. This is the work or employee part of it. Subordinates, employees, servants, organized labor, the health of the body as organized, coordinated functioning of organs and systems, illness as malfunctioning, therapeutic activity and healing agents, including remedies, diet, and regimen, pets, because that's sort of like a subordinate thing, a pet. So daily sustenance, basic clothes, utensils, and utilities. Number 7, one's reflection, the others, one's reflection in the other people, partnership in the wider sense of the word, complementary, common, common touch or mutual understanding, marriage partner, business partner, opponent, competitor, rival, open enemy. Isn't that interesting how it can be both, right? This is the other person. It's like, how well do you work with others? Or maybe there's other influences, just because you're partnered with somebody doesn't mean everything is always going to be perfect. That just means that two people have some kind of thing to work together about, good or bad. Other people of equal rank, formal relationships that involve some obligations, where remember the fifth house was not, it was romantic relationships or other without any obligations. I should just put that there, or other without any obligations. Okay. What else? Okay, so the relationships that involve obligations. So that one is the other part of yourself. That one is much more sticky. Okay. 8th house, transformation, rebirth, perestroika, psychoanalysis, occultism, I can't say that word, perspicacity, risk, obsession, absolute concentration on something, like being really focused, feelings of guilt, jealousy, envy, and other intense, hard to control feelings toward other people, requiring great inner work on oneself. All right, so say this is kind of taking, the emotion over. There's not a lot of thought in here. It's just like all raw feeling. Material values of a partner, another person, taxes, debts, loans, insurance, inheritance, wills, gifts from others, pooled capital, death, sex, and surgery. Now, the other people are kind of different than your 11th house others, where that others is groups. This is an intimate or closer others. 9th house, the worldview, higher education, where the 3rd house was lower education. Religion, or I should say spirituality, more so. It can be both. philosophy, organized knowledge, science, astrology, conventions adopted in society, laws, ethical norms, other cultures, connections with foreign countries and remote regions, moral attitudes, travel, foreign trips, distant countries, international trade, foreigners in general, priests, churches, lawyers, rituals giving legitimacy, and all that is far and high. Wow. 10th house, career, profession, social status, rank, position, title, authority, prestige, ambition, the attitude of the person to the society, the society's reaction to the person, honor, pride, glory, superiors, bosses, management, employers, officials, government, the president, career advancements. 11th house, hopes, wishes, aims, aspirations, social life, informal contacts, friends, groups, where the 7th and 8th were more formal. The friends, groups, clubs, societies, socializing, like-minded people, those who render unselfish support, patrons and benefactors. And the 12th house, impersonal service, charity, self-sacrifice, self-denial, self-restraint, charity, desire for solitude, retreat into the inner world, the ability to compassion, fears, failures, regret, frustration, sadness, restriction, isolation, all secret, sacred places of isolation, prisons, hospitals, shelters, educational institutions, hospitalization, and invalids. So where your sun sign is going to be have an emphasis in these areas. As you look in the chart, if there's a lot of there's a lot of activity in certain areas, that's where there's activity. So the sun is a lot of activity. Whereas when we looked at the ascendant, that's your mask, that's your front porch. So your sun, where is it? Where do you like to do? I mean, what do you, this was a pretty broad, lots of some kind of different good keywords on this one. So think about where that's at. And we'll look at a chart in a minute. We'll open up one and go from there. But also have to take in mind the north and the south nodes. And then again, to reiterate this, the north node is associated with keywords such as growth, destiny, and development. Should make this bigger while we're in there. So the north node usually represents, there we go, a new direction for the individual to follow and a trip into the unknown. Okay. To ancient astrologers, the north node was beneficial and closely resembled Jupiter. That's where it gets that connotation. If the individual was brave enough to take this path, it would be fortunate for them to do so. Essentially, the north node in astrology is said to represent the path we must travel in this lifetime. The nodal axis is a signpost in the astrological chart indicating what point an individual has entered into this life and the direction he should go. I mean, it only makes sense, that you're going to be, you're just coming from that last lifetime. So that's going to be very familiar to you, whatever that you're coming from. And, that's going to be where you default. So it would be, it would just make sense that the other side is that path that you're reaching toward, you're going toward, and that's where the carrot is dangling. To the ancients, the south node was Saturnian in nature and prevented growth. Well, of course. And some went as far to say, and it is the point of self-undoing. Because it's like you're trying to put your old self back in the same box and you can't. It is considered that there's too much emphasis on the south node's expression and area of life, so much so that it may actually hold us back from developing our full potential. The south node is a road that the person constantly walks down, habitually falls back on, and is often the easiest path to take. We feel totally comfortable walking on it. Many astrologers refer to the South Node as our past inheritance, and it represents ultimately where we are coming from. Many of our habitual responses come from memory patterns. It's like on the soul level where, what tendencies and familiarities you have with things. We've lived many lives, so we have different things, of course, that we've learned, with our soul. So it's where it carried forth. Our past is a knowledgeable base and reference tool. The South Node links to the moon and represents the area we feel most secure and even dependent upon. This node may even be a part of the personality that has now been overused. The North Node points toward the direction we need to be headed in and brings new challenges. Since the North Node and South Nodes are always opposite each other, there's always a sense that something needs to be balanced. Okay, let's stop sharing that and get a different share. Let me get over here before we go to that. Okay, let's get a, let's see. Let's just grab Bobby. Okay. And let me get, I don't know why I have two, whatever. What is this one? I don't know. Okay, let's just look at this. Sun in the first house. Okay, I think you can see it there. I just had to get that in focus for me. Move these state windows. All right. Sun in the first house. So we know that that's going to be about that person. It's going to be about things they bring forth. A lot of things will be, kind of Aryan in nature, Aries, Aryan, that's what I mean, because it's the first house. So Aries-like. So that's where you get all those things that were about empowerment, bringing forth, that whole energy. I don't want to flip back on there. So maybe I can. Let me see. Give you those. I guess I can. Yes, I can. Well, you're still looking at that. I think so. Self-awareness, initiative, personal interest, efforts to move forward, new projects, personality, character, about the person, the man, woman themselves, physical appearance, constitution, all that relates to the person as a whole. Okay, so, and then we see that in the first house, and then we just, take a look at, look at there there's planets on either side of there. We don't even notice totally what they are, but we see it's kind of busy. So we know that that person's life is going to be a lot about that. And then we see, take a wider view, and we go, there's Uranus right there. So that could be, that person has got, being so close to the sun, that's like the first thing that I'm seeing. You have to just look at what you see at first. We'll go look at a few charts. So that's going to be things coming to that person out of the blue. It's going to be, let's see, it's going to, why is that there? I think you can hear, and just make sure everything is all right. If not, let me know there. You just have to look at it. I'm just going to give you a quick overview. So Uranus there, it's things out of the blue, things coming to that person, things inspirational, being able to get ideas that nobody else thinks of, Uranian right over there by the sun. So that's a pretty good signature of that. Then we see Mars there. So we need to see that there's energy and drive to do that. All right. So now we kind of take a look and we see that purpose of the sun. And now go and find the North and South Node. And a lot of times I'll just have the North Node and not the South Node. Move that out of the way. So over here, you'll see on the top of the screen, the North Node, the top of the chart in Pisces. So we see, okay, yep.
Carrie, I can see the chart, but I'm seeing the view where I see all your choices. I'm not seeing just the chart. It didn't pop up big.
All right, let's see. How about now?
Okay, now is this what you wanted? We're looking at an event chart because the last one was Bobby's chart.
Oh, nope, that didn't call that up. Nope. Hold on. Let's try. Oh. Oh, it's not going to give it to you. So hold on one second.
Okay.
What do you see Bobby's chart?
I see it, but not in big, blown up big. I've got the current chart preview on the left and the calculated charts on the right showing what you put.
Okay, hold on. Stop share that. Thank you. Maybe I have to, let's see.
Still giving me both.
Yeah, okay, hold on now. Let's see.
That's fine. I mean, it just makes, I can see what you were talking about. I just
No, I want it right. It's not.
I was afraid you were going to get into some depth where I needed to see the, okay, there he is.
There we go. Thank you.
Now I can see the degrees and all that stuff as you're talking. Okay.
Great. I don't know why it didn't come up. Okay, thank you. Always tell me.
Oh, I will. I was just trying to finish a phone call while you were talking. I had to realized I had to make real quick.
All right. So if we can see here, we've got the north node. We're going to look at that and we see that it's in the top of the chart. It's in the 10th house. Okay, so we just take a note of that, but I noticed it's in Pisces in my mind. You start always think either element or, or quality. So I go, water, and I remember Cancer, water, and then both the Uranus and the sun are both in water signs. And then I just, look at Mercury, over there in a water sign. So he's got this trio here of water energy. And then the north node is in the water energy. So that's interesting. So it's like, okay, there's some congruency there. The south node would be in Virgo, the opposite of that, which would be an earth sign, so it's just, so I'm like, okay, where is that? So that's, he's moving from a spiritual, a healing base, because we're both, a natural healer. So he's looking at, coming from that Virgo healing, which would be the south node, going toward the Piscean part, which is moving into more of a spiritual healing. Instead of just working so much on the physical, you look behind the physical to get to the true healing. So that's, where, if he walks that path and he moves that energy, that's congruent for him. Okay. So I just wanted to give you kind of one of those. So that's a couple of things you look at. Now, a couple of other things that you can look at with when you're looking at, there's my notes. When you're looking at this, you're going to also see, and you can kind of get a picture of how well this works, is the sign, okay, the sun, is it in its ruler? Leo, nope. Is it in its detriment? The opposite of Leo would be Aquarius. So nope, it's not in its detriment. Let's see, the sun is exalted in Aries, right? I believe, remember? So is it in its exalt position? Nope, it's not there. And then whatever's opposite of the exalted would be the fall, Libra. So is it there? Nope. So it's just kind of neutral on that level. It's not in anything, anything on that level. So that's why, like, Leos would be, the ruler of the sun. If, all Aquarius are, have to be in the detriment of the sun. All Aries are in where it's exalted, and then all Libras are where the sun is in its fall. So different positions, stronger, weaker, different parts of the sun's energy. It just is, and it's just got to read it all. So, okay, go through that. Like, nope, none of that. We already said aspects to the north and the south node. Then we can also check the house placement. It's his sun is in the first house, and it's kind of squaring the nodes. It's by house 1 to 10th because he's got intercepted house, but by element it's trine. So that's just something good to note. There is a trine there. All right. Let me get another chart and then I'll flip the screen here. Let's see. Open. Let's look at. Bear with me a second. I should have had it all. Sometimes getting all this stuff lined up. Trying to find somebody. Oh, no, I don't want to get him. Let's look at Elvis. And then let me get somebody else too, while I'm just right here, open. Let you look at that for a minute. Oh, I don't want to look at her. Let's see. Let's get the Grandmaster of the ninjas, the martial art, Masaki Hatsumi. Okay, well, let's look at Elvis. I'm going to switch screens, stop share, screen share. Okay, you should be seeing the chart of Elvis. If not, let me know. I have to check this. Make sure we have to see if we can switch easier. Okay, interesting. And I do, yeah, got a good birth theme on him. Well, he's got the sun in Capricorn in his second house. Not quite what you would think, right? Maybe that's, it's like for him, it was, his whole career was very solid. He was a hit and he had an image and a brand, right? He was like one of the original people got branded, kind of, Elvis. Oh my God. Oh. Solid. It was a pleasure. It's probably fun to do that, until success did him in, but that's another part of the chart. Or got to him, or however you want to say it. But look, the sun it's in the Taurus house of pleasure, of hedonism, and so into that all those material aspects. And then it was in a solid sign of Capricorn. So there's a work sign. So he worked, he was busy. He was, performing and writing songs, performing songs, traveling, films, not sleeping in your own home. Get up over here. Come on, Elvis, we got to go. He was kind of, other people probably marketed him a lot. And then Jupiter there. Look, we see Jupiter close by. So there's money, success, Jupiter in the house, although it's in another sign, and it's not conjunct, but that still doesn't matter. Jupiter's close by. And then Venus is close by. Venus is real close. So theirs gives that sex appeal. I mean, even though it's in the first house, that would even be more so. Venus in the first house would be more about his looks and his appeal. And then look, Mercury in the first house, his voice. Right? It's like, hear my voice, see me and hear my voice. And with Venus and kind of earthy, that's interesting, but it's in an Aries, look at me house. And then with Mercury with, in a fiery sign in Sagittarius, which is, it wouldn't be my first thought on like what a harmonious voice would be. But it's, how would I say it? It's a voice you'll never forget. It's something that's very, how would I say? I've never really thought about Elvis so much like on that. It takes you to a different place, and it's very strong and it's very outward and it gets you maybe out of your own place. Anyway, it's that interesting vocal, being able to express that. Maybe it's more on that expression side, and then with Venus being here, it just adds pleasure to the voice, being that they're that close in the first house. But maybe being that it's the voice is in a fire sign, that was his whole image. That was based on him. This whole image here was based on this voice. But then we had the pretty boy and the marketing and the whole package, and being, Jupiter being able to expand it. Okay, let's go look at his moon nodes. Look, North Node in the same place as Mercury, but interesting, Mercury was like at the end of that sign, at the end, 29 degrees, 29, and is, retrograde. It's like just about to go in, into the, it was just a little bit in, from being in Capricorn, it just flipped back into, just went back into that sign. How interesting. It's like when he was born, it just had to go back into Sagittarius, rising sign Sagittarius. There's that appeal, that outwardness, that whole honest outward, Sagittarian is, rising is so exuberant and, just it's the fun. So this with the North Node there in the 12th house, that kind of adds a little seriousness to this. We have it now in the Piscean kind of house. It's in a, in Sagittarius. So he's walking toward the excitement of another place. That's like, this is kind of an interesting mix. I mean, it's real close. They don't have anything in common because they're right, the signs, right next to each other. So there's a little hard mix, I'd say, with him stepping into that. It's like he stepped into that role, but then it's like he couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the bucking bull kind of. It was a rough ride. It got to him. It maybe created, maybe this is saying that it should maybe been a more spiritual route, and it wasn't. It got, it got onto the other side. So what was he coming from? He was coming from back over here. We would have to say this early degrees of Gemini. So some kind of outward communications, using himself maybe to be outward. Maybe he kept falling back on that, marketing himself, the sex appeal, and not maybe as much of the spiritual side of that. He's kind of you get the gospel roots, but maybe didn't fall on true spiritual message. Okay, so there was his lesson within that. But I mean, I'm just kind of brushing the surface. I'm not looking at anything else. Here, look at this Mercury in conjunct over here to Pluto. Just interesting. Okay, and then look at Saturn down here at 29 degrees Pisces. Oh my. And that would tie in, with this nodal placement. Wow, interesting. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So let's stop sharing that one and let's look at another one. I'm gonna have to flip to this one first. Go back, screen share. Okay, then you should see the chart of Masaki Hatsumi. This is the 34th Grandmaster of the ninja tradition, Ninpo Taijutsu, still living. He's, I think, in his 80s now. I had the pleasure to train with him. I had the pleasure to videotape him, speak with him, have dinner with him. Amazing person, him and his wife. Wife is gone now, but so let's look at him. Sun in Sagittarius. Up at the top of the chart. Let's see. I don't have a good time. I mean, a good time. Nope, it's at noon or at that time. So I don't know what house this is in. So actually I just want, well, let's just look at this without the house placement since I got it out. So Sun in Sagittarius, because this is, you're going to run across this and you got to deal with it anyway. Okay. So I don't have a good placement. I don't have a good time for this, but I'm going to we'll just look at and see what we can see. Don't have the time, so we don't know the houses, but we got to just look at something. So very interesting look at, it kind of gets my attention almost more than the Sun and Sag is the conjunction of Mercury and Venus right there at 0 degrees Capricorn. And then we have Saturn at 20 Capricorn. We got a little cluster of some interesting things, but wow, 0, 0. And then we've got the moon, I mean, it's probably close. I don't know the time. I can't even say the moon because that can be different. But let's see, Earth and Earth. So look at that, making a nice trine over to Neptune, both of those. So we have some really interesting the holder of sacred knowledge, with Venus, he's got, you would think there'd be more, with the Mars thing, but we'll look at that in a second. I can see that coming up, but let's just look at the 0 zeros on those two planets. And then over there to, bringing in Neptune, because he's pulling in ancestral knowledge, and he's the holder of all of this 34 generations of things that did not die on the battlefield that got brought back to, to survive, how to, self-defense against horrible odds. Okay. So we got that nice trine here. Let's go look over here because it is a martial art. So here's the Sun, in a fire sign that would indicate the martial arts, and look at Mars over there close to the Sun. I mean, it's a bit away, but it's still close to, it's still in that fire element. But that kind of indicates that it's not just a martial art, that it's a whole spiritual embodiment. But anyway, we got 2 fire signs there. It's in Sagittarius, and it's over here, the sun trining the North Node where he's going to this lifetime. Oh, perfect. And then Uranus over there trining that as well. It's kind of like the sun is sort of the midpoint, trining the midpoint of these two. So he's bringing that, and then he's bringing it out to the world. It's been hidden and not brought out to the world forever. He brought it out to the world. So look at that sun there trying. Okay, I don't want to spend too much more time on that because I think you get it. So, if I knew the house placement, I would add that in. And then again, we would then look at other, elemental, and then see the mix of the house and just kind of get a good mix of the sun, what its purpose is, what the person is, all about. And then it's mixed with the North Node. Are you on your path with that? So the other part of that would then be to look at the current transits and to see what things are transiting the sun, what's transiting the North Node. And what would be also very interesting to know is the midpoint between your sun sign and your North Node. Okay, so that would be the point between, let's say for him, it would be between 8 Sag and going the shortest distance over here to 1 degree Aries. Let's just pretend they're both 8 degrees. So, just to make it easy math. So Aries, so we got 1 sign, 2 signs, and we got, let me make this down if I can see it. 1 sign, 2 signs. I'm thinking it's like somewhere into the Aquarius, right? Would it be 8 degrees Aquarius? Would that be the midpoint between those two? Because it's a trine, yeah. So it would be 8 degrees Aquarius. Okay, so with him, so yeah, let's just say that. So the midpoint, well, actually, it's not because that's 1, it'd be like what, 8, maybe like 4 degrees Aquarius, let's just say. So anyway, whenever anything is over that point, 4 degrees Aquarius, that might be a really good opportune time because that would be tying your North Node your sun to your North Node. It's like it's uniting those two together. That would be somehow, and then to know what planets are hitting that. If Saturn hits it, maybe it's a time to put more structure or order into your life and to be on point. If Jupiter's hitting it, maybe opportunities are opening up for you. If Venus hits it, it's a time to maybe think about pleasures within that. If it's, Neptune, it's maybe time to either, depends on, how it is. Are you being fooled or do you get to dream, So that's just another interesting part of helping to blend, to find, your purpose and to stay on it. But then aspects coming up, to your nodes or to your sun could also blow you hither or thither, I should say. All right, let's stop that. And actually, I'm going to stop that, and then we're going to go do the next part. We'll go over to the charts. And I think, let's see, stop share. I think I'm there. Come on. Give me a minute here. It's buffering. Oh, come on, come on. Oh. Why isn't it going over? It's frozen up there just a second. Let me let it catch up. Okay, so we'll just review here real quick. I hope I don't have to stop this. Crap. I think this is not responding. I don't think you could even hear me, maybe. Crap. All right, close that. I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so this program,
yeah, it's not responding.
Yep, it's not. So let me close some of this down. This is being a butt today. All right, let's